This is Walt Disney Studios in Hollywood. Fun Kids has come to America for two reasons. We're celebrating a couple of films. The first is High School Musical 3, to be released on DVD very soon. The second, a much older Disney film, Pinocchio. Now, I am standing in Legends Plaza, and right the way around the edge of this square are handprints made by people who have contributed a great deal to Disney. They might be members of the Disney family, they could be film stars, or perhaps people who wrote the music for the movies. To my left, just up there, is Walt Disney's old office. Now, when this building was made, it was designed to look a little like a hospital. The reason? Well, if the studios never worked out, they knew that the building could be used for something else. Thankfully, that was never needed, and now Walt Disney Studios is thriving. I'm going to head back inside and catch up with some of the people who have been involved in Pinocchio as they celebrate the 70th anniversary of the movie. So why don't you come and join me? Well, thank you both for sparing the time, first of all. Can I ask you, Dick, how it feels now, 70 years on, to be sitting here knowing that you were the boy who voiced Pinocchio?
I'm thrilled just knowing that I was there and I got the job, and that Pinocchio turned out to be the classic that it did.
And did you have any idea when you were a little boy doing that work with Walt Disney that it would become so big? Did you
No, not even the slightest imagination. It was just a job, but it was a fun job.
You've got to realize that that was only the second animated feature that had ever been made, and Snow White was just 3 years earlier, so this was a whole new field.
I'd love to ask you both as well what the biggest challenge has been from your time of working with Disney. I mean, Dick, was it the underwater scenes for you?
The beginning of that, when they were trying to figure out how to make it sound like you're talking underwater, they almost drowned me. Laid me on my back and poured water in my mouth as I'm trying to read the script.
Cyril, these toys are amazing.
Thank you very much.
For the demonstration earlier, first
That's
of all.
okay.
Can you just tell me how you became a master toy maker?
Well, a master toy maker came later, but it started when I was a child in the 1950s when we didn't have much, and we were thrown back to making our own toys, and our grandfathers made toys with us, or an uncle or whatever, whoever wasn't away from home. But the seeds were sown for me when I became a little bit disenchanted with the work I was doing. Having a creative mind and being in social work, I just wanted to do something with my hands that would, and I suddenly thought that wooden toys were vanishing, they were becoming extinct. And that was so important because they were so important to me as a child.
And do you have a favourite toy to make, a favourite character?
There are all kinds of toys that are favourites. I mean, I've got examples on my lap. I mean, there's this little favourite one here, which is my own invention, little Hobbin Dobbin, Hobbins and Hobbin. So he's a little puppet that can say yes, and he can say no, and he can lie down, and he can tremble, he can dance, and it's just a wonderful little puppet there.
It's funny when you think of some of the reactions people give to toys nowadays. A lot of people say, well, there are electronic characters, there are games consoles that are interactive. Do we really need toys like this anymore? How do you find children react to these?
They love them. I've proved that again. I've done that this morning already with a child who said how cool my toys were, and that came from a 15-year-old. And I think that's just amazing to have a 15-year-old 2009 child say that's cool, and it was a toy from 200 years ago. That's good to me. It proves they've still got what they did have.
Bob, thank you very much for taking the time to show me your puppets. Can I just ask, first of all, you've had the most amazing career. How did it all begin? How did you decide to get into puppetry?
Well, I saw a puppet show when I was 6. I drove everybody crazy until I was 7. And I started to get some puppets, and one of the first puppets I got was a Mickey Mouse puppet, no less. And then I started getting a lot of other puppets. I got puppet lessons when I was 7. By the time I was 8, I had a full puppet show together, and I was sent out to do a puppet show at a birthday party for one of the big directors, Mervyn Leroy, here in town. And from there, I just kept doing more puppet shows and building more puppets, and that's the way it started.
And now here we are with Pinocchio.
Yes.
Could you show me a little how he works? I know I've got one here.
Oh yeah,
I'd
sure.
I'd love to have a go with.
If you take the foot bar off, it maybe a little start to get
This
off,
one.
and you work that kind of like a seesaw, 1, 2, 3, 4. That makes his feet work.
Great.
And then this bar back here is the one that makes the head move. And if you really want to have a deep bow, you take hold of the back string. But in the meantime, to make him work, you just kind of dance him up and down by moving the main bar up and down a little bit and the foot bar with the 1, 2. And depending on the rhythm and the music and what you're doing, that would do that. And then if you pick up on the hamstring, you can always say goodbye.
Brilliant. And did you have any idea when you were working on Pinocchio that we'd be, sitting here now,
Never
70
had any
years on?
idea. It was just, I thought, I was a part of it. And when I saw the film, of course, I said, well, I did work the puppet. It wasn't on the screen, but I saw the results of my having shown them how the puppet were working.
It's brilliant. And I guess one last thing I'd like to ask you, Bob, for any child who's watching now who thinks, I'd love to be able to do that, somebody who's maybe 7 or 8, as you were, what advice or encouragement would you
Just do it. Just go ahead and do what you want to do. It's very important to follow your dream, and it doesn't matter what people tell you. Just keep doing your dream, and whatever you're going to be, an artist, a puppeteer, a dancer, just do it, because that's the most important thing, because that's what you're always going to want to refer to and want to be.
It's great advice, Bob. Thank you very much.
Thank
you
you
for showing me how to use Pinocchio as well.
My pleasure. Thank you.